Hello, all. I hope you're all doing well. We're continuing with our weekly portion review. And this week, we are in the last portion of the book of Exodus. We are in the portion of Pekudei, which means the amounts of. This is really the last portion of the construction, of the little construction of the tabernacle, where we get to see, and we spoke about this a little last year, but Salel from the craftsman from the tribe of Judah, and Oliab from the tribe of Dan, the unification of the tribes of Israel to build this thing, this tabernacle together. And you're obviously welcome to go take a look at what we discussed last year. But today we're going to talk about a different aspect. And we see in this portion, there's this double mention of the word Mishkan, tabernacle. In one of the verses, it says, "These are the accounts of the Mishkan, the Mishkan." Now, the sages have learned that this is a hint that the tabernacle, the Mishkan, is really destined to be mushkan. In Hebrew, that means a collateral. That is, it would be destroyed ultimately due to the sins of Israel, right? We'll have to, there'll be a day to pay it back. And this teaches us that in the tabernacle, in the indwelling of the divine presence of the Shekhinah, in the lower realms is actually like a very fragile matter in this world, and it doesn't have actually the power to endure throughout all of history. Now, this is because the Mishkan is really the manifestation of the Shekhinah, and whose source is obviously infinite, but it's happening within a finite world, right? The presence of the transcendent within the natural world is, in a certain sense, sort of like a foreign body, a foreign implant in this reality. And there is a kind of resistance, sort of like the body would have to a virus, is a resistance like by nature to any element that doesn't actually align with its own nature. We could look at this as an eighth day creation in a seventh day world. Right, and therefore the nature of every sanctuary is ultimately to be destroyed, and this is so long as history unfolds according to the laws of nature, or until the third temple will be built, in which we hope that there'll be harmony between the Mikdash and the world, the temple and the world. Now, then we'll know that the world will actually ascend to become entirely a sanctuary, right? All of the world, and our sages alluded to this, that that the land of Israel will eventually encompass the entire world, or that the temple will fill all of Jerusalem. These are things that we see in Zechariah 14. Again, not physically it will take over the whole world, but spiritually, right? So when there's an expansion of holiness in the whole world, the temple is no longer destroyed. And we could say that really history is designed as a series of periods, in some which the temple exists, and in others where it's actually destroyed. And this interaction between the transcendent and the natural is really what propels the world forward ultimately, this dance that is happening. Now, in our Torah portion, the phrase, "as the Lord commanded Moses," appears 18 times. And our rabbi said that this alludes to the way the Mikdash, actually, the temple, completes creation. Also, that in the account of creation, if you recall in Genesis, the phrase "and God said" actually appears 9 times. And although we're told in Ethics of Our Fathers that the world was created with 10 utterances, the first utterance, Bereshit, in the beginning, is actually a hidden utterance, right? So there's 9. So the created world perceives only 9 utterances. Now, the Talmud teaches us that the deeds of the righteous are greater than creation of heavens and earth. And in the story of creation, it says, "Indeed, my hand founded the earth, and my right hand spread out the heavens." This is in Isaiah 48. It's as if saying God created his world only with one hand. But regarding to the temple, it says, right in Exodus 15, the sanctuary that God, your hands, established, right? With both hands in plural. So in the Mikdash, there is actually a connection between the hand that created the heavens and the hand that created earth. And the unity within that creation is actually revealed. And therefore, there is this duplication, right? 18 utterances paralleling the 18 times that the Lord commanded Moses actually appears, right? So, obviously, 9 plus 9, right? Now, once the plan of creation is actually completed in the temple, the Torah should have really ended at that point, right? We've reached the end goal. And really, indeed, our portion does end with words in Exodus 40, before the eyes of all the house of Israel, which is very similar to the wording at the end of the Torah, the 5 books. Now, it would have been fitting, like we said, to conclude with the indwelling of the Shekinah in the lower realms, right? The God's presence and glory fills out the tabernacle, and that's where we could have really ended the Torah. But then there's an additional words that appear, right? It says, throughout all their journeys. Really, so since the Mikdash was not yet established in its permanent place, right, in the land of Israel, there's not yet a full unity between the indwelling of the Shekinah and the ideal location of Mount Moriah, right? We can't have this perfect orientation. And this is really to teach us and to remind us that we need to take the nature, right, the quote-unquote mundane, and sanctify it, right? So we know that there's the holy, and we know that there's nature. But by taking nature and using our holy Torah to transcend and uplift that nature, we then get holy of holies. And hopefully we could have that for our whole family, country, our whole community, the whole world. Shabbat Shalom.